I was feeling kind of emotional today, so I decided to go to the beach. I took my coloring book, got my markers, got me a little snack. And yeah, I was just sitting on the beach having a really, really good time. It was very peaceful, and I really enjoyed myself. Um, I saw this father walk past me, and at first, I just saw him in my, I don't know, out the corner of my eye. And then I just looked up and I saw him holding this beautiful newborn baby. And like he was walking with her, and the way he was just looking at her and holding her, I don't know why it made me emotional. Because when you're a baby, you receive so much tenderness. People around you are careful with you. They're going to make sure you're safe, you're okay. And, you know, I'll say in healthy situations, babies are surrounded by softness and care. And I think that I got emotional because I just feel like, why is it that when you become an adult, we no longer can receive that level of care and gentleness anymore? I feel like every person you've ever met started off just like that newborn baby. They were innocent, delicate, and needing love, nurturing. Just it's just so pure. Like I can't really put my finger on it, but I just feel like nobody chooses to be born, and we don't choose to grow up. We are thrown into it pretty quickly. The timeline from being a child to a teenager to an adult is pretty quick. So I just feel like as you get older, the world stops being soft with you, and nobody tells you when it's going to start being that way or why. And I feel like I just never understood that, it's like just because we age, it doesn't mean that we lose our sensitivity. I don't know. I haven't actually heard anybody say it, but I know that you know what I'm talking about. For whatever reason, as we get older, we're being treated like, as we get older, we get stronger. We're more tough. We can let it roll off of our shoulder. And I don't believe that. I feel like the scared, soft 10-year-old version of me is, I still feel like the 10-year-old version of myself all of the time. I just am in a 31-year-old's body, and I can't do anything about that. I can't act like a 10-year-old. I can't cry to somebody and tell them I'm scared, I'm sad, I'm worried, because I'm an adult. It is my job to take care of myself. And that is a very, I don't know, it feels kind of cold. And my feelings at 31 hurt just as easily or just the same as they did when I was 10 years old. I never, as I got older, no, I didn't gain some, magical toughness or this thick skin that people are always talking about. I am the same. And, when you're an adult and you're going through very, very painful things, challenging things, stressful things, you are expected to figure that shit out. Like, imagine feeling like on the inside you're a kid, but you're an adult now and you just have to deal with it. No, you can't run to another adult and seek comfort because you're a damn adult. Now you're an adult now. And it's just like, I also noticed that as we become adults, the way that we treat each other is insane. The things that I have had to deal with and go through and experience, I never in my life knew that these type of experiences, people, things were just even existed. I didn't know. Like, I didn't know. That's all I can say. I didn't know. And I feel like we need to treat each other, or we need to just, I don't know, like I make these podcasts based off of just having a different perspective. That's what most of my videos are about. I feel like if you wouldn't yell at, if you wouldn't betray, if you wouldn't neglect or cold shoulder a baby, why on earth would you do it to somebody that you love? Why would you do it to your partner, your mother, your, I don't know, family members? Like, why are we so cold and callous with each other for no reason? You just walk outside, you get in your car, you're going to go get something to eat. You got people cutting you off in traffic, flipping you off. It's just like everything is so cold. And you're just thrown into this cold world and you're forced to be an adult. And I'm just trying to figure out, why does the gentleness and the consideration and the protection and the nurturing and just being treated with care, why is that thrown out the window? Even when you get into relationships, where, somebody says that they love you and they care about you, it's totally different from the way that they would love and care for a child. You know what I'm saying? For whatever reason, I think that people have normalized, or it has become very common for people to just be mean to their partners, to ignore, their partners. I'll give you this example. Think about when you were a child on the playground or whatever. If you had a childhood best friend, right? That was your buddy. Like, y'all had each other's back. Like, I'm pretty sure if you saw somebody mess with them, you would buck up on that person. Like, hey, this is my friend. What are you doing? Like, you're not gonna mistreat my friend. Okay, now let me give you a different visual. What I don't understand is, if that is how we care for somebody that we love, we have their back, we protect them, we're not going to let anybody hurt them. Again, I'm confused. Why does that change when we become adults? Now when you have relationships as an adult, you don't, maybe some people will give you that. It could be temporary. Again, like the way that things are when you're an adult is just very, very insane. It's like somebody will, present that to you, but then later on, if you make them upset or if you get on their nerves, now all of a sudden they don't have your back. Now they're leaving you out in the cold. So I'm just confused as to why we don't still treat each other with that same care as we would as our, the same way that we would as if we were, on the playground with our best friend or our friends. And I'm still, it's like I still You know how people mention culture shock? It's still a shock to my system at my big age that why don't we love each other the same way as we would when we're little or when we're younger? And like, I think that all of us are delicate. I mean, I don't like this age thing has nothing to do with you being stronger or tougher. Even the toughest person still wants their mother. Even the toughest person still wants their dad, their granny. They still want a shoulder to cry on. They want to call their friend. They want to seek comfort. We are very gentle souls, and a lot of us are copying and pasting this really cold and cruel behavior that we're witnessing other people doing, and it's not normal. And I think that that's why most of the world, most of the people in the world are depressed, angry, sad, cold, mean. Somebody did that to them. They grew up and somebody stopped being gentle and caring and loving to them. So now it's just like it becomes a domino effect. This person, this adult is mean to this adult. And then they lose that innocence and that gentleness. And now they're mean and cold to the next adult. And it's just like, it just keeps going on and on and on. And then it comes back to you. And now somebody's being mean to you. Somebody's betraying you. Somebody's yanking you around emotionally. And it's like, okay, imagine your 10-year-old self. Would you look at your 10-year-old self right now and be like, get the hell out my face? I don't want to talk to you right now. You're getting on my nerves. Would you look at your 10-year-old self and be like, I'm about to go over here and I'm going to go talk to this other person about you behind your back. I'm going to go make up a rumor. I'm going to embarrass you. I'm going to stab you in the back. No, you would never, ever do that to a child. It would traumatize them. It would mess them up for life. You know how delicate a child is. And the point that I'm trying to drive home is we are still that. We are still delicate. We are still, obviously we're not children, but I think you get the point. Internally, we are still children. Internally, we are that newborn baby. We need to be treated with gentleness, with care, and we need to be treating other people that same way. I understand that nowadays, in adulthood, somebody's mistreating you, you're going to mistreat them back, or you're going to be cold back. You know what I'm saying? I'm not over here saying be kind and sweet and delicate to somebody that has like dogged you out or is disrespecting you or has played in your face. I'm not saying that. It just makes me really, really sad that we just don't get that same care as adults. It actually makes me very emotional because I consider myself to be a very sensitive person. I really enjoy spending time with my inner child. Like I said, I was on the beach today coloring. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. When I was a kid, I wasn't on the phone 24/7. I had activities. I had hobbies. I would spend time with myself. I would use my imagination. I would look at the sky and see how blue it was. I would connect with the things around me. That was what I was doing today when I saw that man walking on the beach with his beautiful baby. She just looked so innocent and just so protected. I am a whole stranger, and I felt protective of that baby. Why don't we look at each other that way as adults? I just don't get it. I don't get it. I like when I was a teenager, I never understood the concept of abuse. I didn't understand the concept of cheating, which is also emotional abuse. I didn't understand, if you're in a relationship with somebody or if this person is your friend, you're not going to talk about them behind their back. You're not going to steal from them. You're not going to mistreat them. You're not going to neglect them. You're going to be very gentle and delicate with this person because you value them. You care about them. You see their inner child. I think that the best love that you can give somebody is treating them that way. Seeing their younger self inside of them. Most people don't get that, and most people aren't treated that way. But imagine you treating somebody that way. I can't imagine what you would get in return, because it's such a rare thing. At my big age, I still, when I am in a relationship, I love being baby. I love being held and kissed on the forehead. I love being comforted. I love when life is just too much for me, and I have some, it doesn't even have to be a romantic relationship. I'm able to call my mom. Like, I had to call my mom yesterday. I was having a really bad day yesterday. And that just, again, made me feel like a child again. Like, I needed my mother in that moment. All of this stuff that we got to deal with on the day-to-day as adults, it's just not normal. And I refuse to let this world harden me, because people have gotten away from seeing how delicate we really are. I think that most of us are delicate. Yeah, we have people out here in the world that are just cold, cruel. Even some of them were like that since they were a kid. I'm not talking about those people. But yeah, this was a very touchy subject for me. I do find life to be pretty hard, because the type of care that I want to receive and that I want to give is not common. So sometimes I have to talk to myself and say, hey, this is not the world that you live in. You're going to have to look over your shoulder. You're going to have to, have people earn your trust. You're not just going to be walking out here trusting people. Not everybody's going to have your best interest in mind. Not everybody's going to have your back, even though they say they do. Some people could just turn their back on you for whatever reason. If you upset somebody, that could be you upset somebody, or you do something they don't like, or you have a falling out with a friend, and right away they go, talking about you. They turn their back on you. And it's like, why are people like that? I have an ex-best friend that I have not talked to in years. You will never catch me talking bad about her. Or if I see her in public, I'm not going to give her the middle finger and be cold and mean. If she spoke to me, I would speak to her. I truly believe that we're delicate beings, and I don't know, like, I just wish that I could see more, or I could meet more gentle people that feel and think the same way that I do. I don't really like this sneaky stuff. I don't like this, again, you become an adult, people lie, people cheat, people have, I don't even want to go into detail about the horrible things that you get introduced to when you become an adult. With your family relationships, romantic relationships, even in your professional relationships, it's like, dang, I have to make sure somebody isn't trying to get over on me. Why do I have to, protect myself or make sure I'm not being scammed? It's like, dang, like, why can't I just be in a world and exist around people that are just good? And actually, I take that back. I don't believe people are just plain old good. When you're human, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make bad decisions. And, a mistake isn't, abusing somebody and, emotional abuse and cussing people out and just, that stuff is not a mistake. It takes a lot of energy and intention to do stuff like that. But I don't know. And that's another thing. If you hurt a child's feelings, most of us would apologize and comfort that child. But when you become an adult and somebody hurts your feelings, we ghost them. We get upset that they're upset. We don't want to keep hearing about them being upset. We're uncomfortable that they're upset. We want them to hurry up and get over it. It's not you don't get delicate. You don't get care and nurturing and understanding. You need to hurry up and move forward and keep it pushing and be tough. I'm not tough. I'm not strong. I do the best that I can do with what I got. And like I said, that's the same thing I had when I was 10 years old. And it's like, man, I wonder if this person could see who I really am on the inside. And I always just refer to my 10-year-old self. just because I don't know. I just feel like, what if this person saw the younger version of me? Would they be that mean? Would they do that thing to me? And I remember in one of my relationships, I started actually practicing this because, people say a lot of things, but they don't actually practice it. I remember when I was in a relationship, it was very hard for me to yell or be cold or callous to this person that I was in a relationship with, because I just would always see this person's younger self. I just was like, man, I can't do it. I can't bring myself to do something evil to this person. I can't screw them over. I can't stab them in the back. I can't do them dirty. I can't do it. This person is so delicate to me. They mean so much to me. Like, I am treating them like they're the most delicate, I don't know, delicate, I don't want to say glass, because, like I said, I gave the comparison to the newborn baby that I saw today. But I would just see the child in that person that I was dating. And that's not to say that I was always perfect, but when it came to that cold stuff that I mentioned, being just straight up mean, ignoring a person's feelings, maybe again, talking about them behind their back, like I could never. And I don't know. I'm hoping that whoever's listening to this can feel me and can chime in. And I don't know. It just sucks that, even after in this episode, guess what? We all got to go back into the world and be adults and continue to experience these type of things. And I think that it's really sad. I remember when I was a little girl, I used to always daydream about, what most little girls dream about. I used to daydream about, getting older, getting married, to the love of my life, and we're happy, and, we just, get married, we share families. It's good. I never had a concept of a narcissist. I didn't know anything about avoidant personalities. I didn't know about cheating. Like, the concept of cheating has as a kid, if you would have told me, explain cheating to me, I'd have been like, huh? Why would you do that to somebody you like? I wouldn't do that to somebody that I care about. That's mean. And I still think that way as an adult. I'm like, I could never, with somebody that I love, I would never stab somebody in the back that I love and care about. I would feel horrible. I could not do it. Like, I don't know. It's just a very cold world. And yeah, this was a very long podcast, and I'm pretty sure, I don't think anybody's going to listen to this whole thing, but I just feel like, we are still those babies, period. Again, I keep emphasizing internally, but we still deserve that same gentleness and care. I don't care if you're a grown man, grown woman. I don't care how old you are. We still deserve that same care, gentleness, consideration, protection, just all of that. The same thing that you would give to a kid, the same way you wouldn't hurt a child, or, you get the point. But like I said in my previous episodes, I don't really like to edit these. But I think the last point I wanted to make was, I think I already touched on this, but I think that's why most people are depressed, because we are not meant to be snatched up and just thrown around, emotionally. We're not built for this type of stuff that we be dealing with in this world. And that's probably why I'm depressed a lot of the time, because I'm not the type of person that can just be yanked around emotionally and thrown and just have people hurting my feelings or stabbing me in the back. And I am not built for it. I'm not tough. I'm not a tough person. I'm not. And I'll just leave you guys with that. I don't know if anybody else out there feels the same way that I feel. When I'm feeling sad, I wish that I could have a friend come over and be like, hey, do you want to You want to make some popcorn and we can get some candy and just watch some funny videos and funny movies. When you're a grown adult, you need to, you at home by yourself crying. You need to figure out how to feel better because you got to go to work on Monday in the morning. You got to clock in. Your boss is going to be asking you, hey, did you get that done? You see what I'm saying? It's just so, I don't even know how to describe it. But yeah, this was a long one. And I wanted to know, why does that kind of care disappear when we get older? Why does the tenderness become rare when we get older? I think the opposite. I think we deserve more of that as we get older. But I'm going to wrap this up. Looking at my notes right now because I always seem to get off track. But yeah, you don't stop needing care just because you're aging. And I feel like everybody is carrying their, the child version of themselves inside. And I think that it would be beneficial that we see the people that we love that way. Very delicate. We need to be very gentle. We need to consider their feelings when we do things. We need to have their back. If we don't like them anymore, don't want to be their friend, we need to have a talk with them and be like, hey, I don't want to be your friend anymore. Or, instead of just like, why, you don't have to stab them in the back, just end the relationship respectfully. But we don't live in that type of world now, and it's just very disappointing. I don't think the world needs more toughness. I don't want to be told I need tough skin. I don't want to keep hearing, oh, it is what it is. It's life. It's just like, it's so dismissive. And I'm a person that's very big on validating experiences, feelings, and emotions, and not feeling rushed or pushed or just feeling invalidated. But yeah, thank you for listening. If you listened to this whole thing, because this was a long one, like I said, but please leave a comment. As always, I love to hear, feedback. I want to know what other people think, or if I just feel this way on my own. But yeah, stay safe. And I don't know if you're listening to this at night, have a good night. If it's during the day, I hope you have a good day.